Hey guys, so yeah, we're officially back. So this is Katya here, and if this is the first video that you see, then we're gonna be doing pastels. And for everyone who has already seen my videos, well, you know what we're gonna be doing. So let's do a little sketch of a landscape together today. And yeah, it took me some time. I know it took me some time to get back, but anyway, while I will be drawing, I will be trying to kind of also talk through. And yeah, guys, don't forget, you can always ask questions in the comments, or like I will be really happy to read them. And again, I'm a bit sorry for not being present for I think over a year now, but yeah, we're back. Back in business, yay. Also, I wanted to say that I'm going to be continuing my Patreon, and thank you to those people who were supporting me there still. So that really is important to me. And yeah, let's begin. So I have a reference image of a little landscape that I found, like actually a seascape. I like sea. You might have seen that from the previous videos. And here I already have some color swatches that I will be using. So this is just cardboard paper. So why am I using cardboard paper? The thing is that my partner, he is obsessed with Warhammer, and he has these little figurines delivered home, you know, the models, the ones that you have to make. And I'm sorry, my hands are already dirty because I was going through my pastels. But yeah, and so basically in every box, there's like a magazine on how to glue these things together and paint them. And each magazine has this kind of hard cover that it comes in. It's not a cover, like it's a hard support so it doesn't get folded or something. And I have like a million of these, so I thought, why not use them for something pretty? So this is just plain cardboard paper, so you can get it anywhere, I think. And you can also substitute this for Canson paper for the grayish kind of neutral color. And here already I also have prepared my little sketch that I did, a tone sketch and kind of a composition that I wanted to make. So let's go through this fast. So I found this image when I was actually looking for roses. You will not believe it. And I found out that there is this kind of beach in, I think, Montenegro. And I found it on Wikipedia, this image. So I will be adding it on my Patreon. You can go there, you can download it. You don't have to be a patron. I will be adding the link in the description also. So here is kind of my idea of a sketch, and I really hope that you don't hear any noises happening on the background because it's very hot here. I'm in Spain and I've moved here like, oh my gosh, I think 2 years ago now. And yeah, so hopefully it doesn't disturb you. But yeah, let's go back to the sketch. So this is my composition. So as you can see, I kind of placed it. I wanted to break the rules, and I kind of placed it more towards the center, so maybe I'll be changing that along the way. This is just some kind of a general idea. So what I wanted to go here for is dark trees in the background that will be kind of putting my houses in the foreground, like pushing them ahead, which will be light. Then we have the sea, and the sea will be kind of a mid-tone value, and the same will be the mid-tone value for the mountains behind. So this kind of instantly separates our image into planes. So we have the foreground, the sea, which is darker, then we have the midground, which will be the houses with the trees, which will also separate them light from dark. And then we will have also the mountains and the sky, which is like the background, which is going to be the furthest and the least detailed ones. And I also wanted to mention, so when you draw houses, one of the most important things is that you pay attention to the size of the details that you give them. Because if you draw a house and the windows of that house are too large, it's going to instantly make it look like a dollhouse or something that is like very unproportionate. So pay attention to that as we go. And now let's go through the colors. So here, what I have chosen already is I was going through the colors to kind of limit my palette, because honestly I have a million pastels and it's amazing, but sometimes you get lost in the amount of colors. So let's go through the blues first. So the sea and the sky, and also I will add those blues into my mountains, so I'll be mixing the greens with the blues. So the blues will be these. So these are my light colors, and as you've seen from the previous videos as well, I go usually from the light color into the dark using the middle values in between. So this is going to be my mid-tone value, And I wanted to neutralize it, so I didn't want it to make it as bright and sunny, so I wanted to give it a bit of that hint of maybe that there's kind of storm coming, maybe brewing. And then we have the darker blues, but these will be very kind of just in the accent places and mixed together. So these are my blues. Then I'm gonna use my little handy thing to clean my hands. Then we're gonna go through the greens. So I wanted to make the greens a bit more cheerful, closer to the houses, to kind of make it look more cozier, the houses themselves. So here are my greens. So these are the brightest colors that I will be using. And here we go into the more muted, darker colors. But all of them, as you can see, this is like darker green. They are only these two colors are actually bright, and then we're going into kind of grayish greens already and grassy greens. So I'm going for warm colors here, not cool greens. So cool and warm ones, the warm ones lean more towards the yellow color, and the cool ones lean more towards the blue. So for example, if I take this color here just as an example, you can see how much cooler, like how much bluer this color is. So usually when I have my pastels all sorted, like now, I finally managed to do that, I separate them into warm and cool ones, and then I also separate out the gray ones. So, okay, and then I also need something for the houses and for the boats, because I wanted to throw in 2 boats in here. We'll see how that goes. So for the houses, I plan on keeping the color of the paper actually as the color of my houses, and then I wanted to add some lighter areas. And for the roof, these are going to be my roof colors. And for those darker roofs, I will be mixing in this color as well, so terracotta. And I think that's going to work good. I think for now, I don't need any more colors, so I think that we can start. And as we go, maybe if I will be adding any more colors, I will obviously show you guys. So I also wanted to mention that for some details I might need some charcoal pencils. So here I have charcoal pencils. This is Generals, and this is my Kohinor. Yeah, I just took 2 random ones, to be honest, just white and black for now, and then we will see. But I don't really want to use pencils that much because they kind of make you automatically go into too much detail. But maybe on the boats we will need to add just 1 or 2 kind of lines with the pencil there. And yeah, I also will be using my trusty new eraser, just in case. I have it here. So this is a new one. This is actually, I think you can have like 2 in 1. This is an eraser and an anti-stress tool for artists. My daughter loves these. I always lose them because she constantly sneaks in, grabs them, and kind of gets away with them, and I can't find them after. She uses them to actually use them like to make figurines like out of plasticine. I don't know how to say that in English, so sorry, maybe I massacred that word. But anyway, yeah, she creates stuff out of it. But let's keep it here just in case that we need to lift some pastels off. Okay, so also another thing that I want is charcoal. So either a pencil, but in this case willow charcoal will work best because it's easier to actually lift it, and it's easier to kind of get rid of it or to cover it with pastels than the charcoal pencil. So I have my willow charcoal. Ta-da! Okay, so first I want to decide, so I decided that I want to have kind of these blurred out edges. I don't want to cover all of my painting. I want to have blurred out edges like in the other works that I did. Let's move this a bit further away. And that's why I'm going to kind of focus on the central part, and the rest is going to blur out into the paper. So I'm kind of thinking in my mind how far I want to go. So I don't want to go towards the very edges of my paper when I will be drawing. And also, as usual, I'm going to separate my sky and water line into thirds. So sky, land, basically, or water in this case, so horizon. So the first thing that I do is I'm going to create my line of where my shoreline is going to be, and this is going to be occupied by the sea. And then I see that I have decided to kind of do houses over here, and I don't want to make them too big, so I'm just blocking them in lightly. So this is one kind of complex of houses. Here in the middle there are trees, and this house was a bit taller, and I actually like this idea of it being a bit taller. And here's the other set of houses here. So there are going to be 3 houses, one overlapping the other, and the palm in the middle. So the palm, I want to keep it. I really like the palm. So these are the houses. I blocked them in. Next, we have, let's do the mountains in the background. So I want this mountain somewhere approximately here. Then we have the other one that kind of reaches up here and goes down here. And from here we have, actually like this, another one coming up. So as you can see, I'm kind of focusing here in this central part. The houses and the trees are my main focus point. The rest is going to come after. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start looking for the details that I want to keep in the houses. So I'm not going to draw out exactly the house, like copy paste that I see it. No, I'm going to kind of hint that it's a house, but try to get away with less details, like with the least amount of details that's possible. So let's start sketching that out. And I see that I can see this side. Actually, let's see if I manage. For the houses, I can use the pencil because it's going to give me more control. So I'm going to sketch out this house. I can see this part of it. So the side. Then we see the roof, and carefully I'm drawing the roof all through because here there's going to be another part of the house that's coming kind of up, like so. And we can also see this side of the house. Then we have the roof, and the roof continues over here, and it goes down. So this is the first house. It's divided into stories, but I don't have to keep the exact amount of stories. What I want to do is I want to kind of focus on where my windows are going to be. So these are 2. Then we have 1 set of windows here as well. And I really like this idea of some greens growing here, so we can also kind of give that house some shadow underneath the greens. So, and also some windows on this side, but that's gonna be kind of hinted at only. Also on this part, as you can see here in my sketch, I also added like a beginning of the other house, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna blur it out into the page. And here we have the other house that is slightly taller, and like so. So I'm not drawing all the houses that I see there. I chose 2, and then I chose 3 on the other side. So here, like so. So this is our roof. So here I'm paying attention that this roof practically goes in one line. Just a bit taller here, but we can get away with that. And maybe I'll move it just a bit closer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to also sketch in my windows. So there are big windows in this house, and I really like these roof windows as well. Maybe let's do 2. I don't want to put both all 3 of them, so let's do only 2. And here we have the roof. Okay, and here we can continue a bit of that greenery. And then what I wanted to do is actually I'm gonna have cooler green that I said, oh, let's not use it. Let's use it for those little umbrellas, because I want to give a bit of life into this scene. So we're kind of having these duller blue colors, and this is going to kind of spark a bit of life into our image. So here is my first houses, first set of houses. Then here we're going into the next one. So this house is quite far back. So pay attention to how the roof is, the line of the end of the roof is kind of taller, higher up than the ones in front of it. So this is one way of showing the perspective. Okay, so in this house it kind of goes down here, the roof, and to show that one building is overlapping another one. Okay, so we go here. There's a tree here which I want to keep, which actually seems nice, and I'm going to let my house peek out from here, from these, so to separate kind of a bit the trees on the background and this tree here. Then we have the other building 1, and then we have, I'm going to actually put together the 2 buildings that I see there. I'm going to create only 1. I don't want to, otherwise I think it's going to create too much noise. And there's this interesting roof happening here. So too many details, sometimes they create too much noise and it like breaks a bit the image. And here I'm going to add another building, which is actually taller, but it's closer to us. Okay, and it has a different kind of roof. Okay, we go down here, so we see the side of the building. And here we already see other buildings, so we can start with the roof, but again, blur it out. Okay, so we don't have to draw all of them. Again, here, this building is taller, but it's closer to us, so that's why it has its roof not lower than this one, but actually a bit higher up, so we can show it by adding windows. So we can show it how many stories it actually has. So this one, it's taller than the other building. Okay, and here is my favorite poem. So here it's going to be happening like so. So we're going to be adding a poem there. Okay, so another interesting thing that is happening is this statue, but I don't like this statue happening here. So I'm thinking maybe I will think if I want to add it somewhere or not, but I like the idea of this statue. Maybe we will add it somewhere like in the background, maybe move it a bit over here. Like so, like kind of putting it central in the middle. Okay. The houses, I think we're done with the houses for now. Again, we have another umbrella here, but this one we can make it not as bright as the other ones. And then there are like street lights that we will be adding some very, very little details at the end. Okay, so here I'm good with my pencil because I'm done doing the houses. And what I want to do now is I want to start sketching in my trees. So here in the reference, you can see, you can see that I don't like this line of the mountains here. Let's do it like this. Let's remove it. I'm saying one thing and thinking about another one. So here we have this mountain. What I'm doing is when I'm drawing mountains or trees, I'm actually slightly rotating my willow charcoal, and it makes me create, like helps me create this squiggly line. Okay, so now with my charcoal, because I did little details with the charcoal pencil, now with my charcoal it's easier to do the trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how tall I want the trees, and I don't want them to actually be touching the mountains. So I'm thinking, do I want to have my mountains lower than the tree line or higher than the tree line? So where the tallest trees reach. Let's see, now these trees are quite big and I like them, and they are quite dark, so I can use my charcoal to actually add them in. So what I'm going to do is I'm instantly going to add in this darkness here, because we're going to be passing over it with pastels then, and charcoal blends with pastels very well, so don't worry about that. Again, I'm thinking for now I want to keep this light detail of the statue here, and these trees, I like that they are kind of, I think those are cypresses, or how are they called, and they are kind of tall and poking up in these and create this irregular line. Okay, so here we have other trees sticking out. Okay, and also here. So what I liked about this picture when I saw it instantly, I liked the fact that the trees were kind of creating a natural frame for the houses, which are light, and the trees are dark, and looks awesome. Okay, and here we have other trees that kind of frame our image, but they are not sticking out as much as these trees do here, and they will be lighter. So as they are going further away from the central part of our drawing, they will be lighter in tone. So we're taking away the focus from them. Okay, here I have other trees sticking out again. So let's see, do I want them taller or shorter? Maybe I'll make one that is going to be taller, and the other two are going to be thinner and shorter. And again, here we're going to add a bit of that color to show that there are trees also, but it's going to be as light as here, for example. Okay, so not as intense. Then what do we do? Let's take a look at our mountains. So what I want to do is I want to create this mountain slightly darker than these two, and to create kind of not a shadow, but in between the mountains. So this part of the mountain I want it to be slightly darker than the top of the mountain, so it creates a difference between the two, so brings this one out forward. And the same thing goes here, but here it's going to be even lighter because it's kind of on the edge of our image. But anyway, you will see this now that we get to the pastels. Okay, now I want to sketch in my boat. So I like the boat that is on the very left, and I want to put it, so here there's going to be a bit of that like pathway, I don't know, like the shoreline where people can actually walk and where our umbrellas are standing. And then we have a boat here. I really like it, and I'm going to move it a bit closer towards the center. And it's going to be this boat that is on the left. Okay. And actually, I'm going to lower this line just a tad, just to make that boat not fall in the same line with the top of the boat, not to fall on the same line with my coast. And I will also want to add another boat maybe here, but it's going to be turned slightly towards us. So I'm going to use the boat on the right, and I'm going to place it here. Okay, like so. And obviously we have our sea over here, so we will be doing that. Okay, so I think our sketch is done, and we can start adding the colors. So we thought about the tones, and we thought about how to actually create a composition. Okay, let's continue with our colors. Let's start with our background first. And what I want to start working on is my sky. So what I want to do is I just lightly want to lift out this charcoal from here. I don't want it to be kind of in the way for my sky, so I can create the skyline with my actual pastels. And I'm going to start with my lightest color here to actually create the line of my mountains. So I see my line still, but I don't see it as clearly as I had it. So I'm basically taking away the charcoal a bit, just not to dirty the blue color, and adding the same line with my lighter blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding, using the pastel on its side, with its rib, I don't know, with its edge. So I'm adding a bit of that light color. And the further I move from the edge of my mountains, from like the top of my mountains, the less pressure I put. And here I actually go into the color of my paper. So next I'm going to take my other blue. So you can see how used this is. I think this is a Rembrandt. It's one of the first pastel sets that I had, and it's completely used up. So this one is the one that I'm using for the sky and for the sea a lot. Okay, and here again I'm going into the color of the paper, and we will be blending it out. Because as you can see, the tone of the paper and of this color, they're very similar, and it's gonna blend very well together. Then I'm going to into my next color, and what I want to do is I'm gonna create kind of a little dome over my little town with adding this color only on the sides, so that it's kind of lighter towards the middle. And a bit of that darker blue, just to kind of, okay. So what I will do now is I'm going to start blending, but actually I'm going to need to clean my fingers because I want to start blending from the lighter color. And I will start blending it in circular motions and start to kind of blend it into the paper. When you're blending, don't press too hard. Sometimes if you press too hard on the paper, you can create very dirty effect also. So look, I'm doing it very gently, and I'm blending the colors together. And as I'm going towards the edge of my paper, I'm blending it out into the paper, okay? So first I'm blending my lighter color, because I want the sky not to have too much texture, because we will be putting more pastel over the top. So don't press too hard, we will be putting more pastel over the top, and it's going to give us a very nice effect of an even sky. If you want, if you feel adventurous, you can also create some clouds in the sky, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure with this one. I'm not sure what I actually want it to have in the end. If I want it to seem a bit more dark or a bit sunnier. For now it looks sunny, but we'll see. Okay, so here I'm going over my sky and I'm blending the colors together. And as you see, I'm kind of pushing it all into the paper, into the color of the paper on the edges. Okay, so now we can still see the texture of the paper, so I'm not happy about that because I'm going to be using more color. Again, doing the same thing as we did before. Here already I'm adding it because I see the color underneath. I already know which ones I used, so I can add more color over the top. And just very, very few. This is a unison, it's very soft, so I'm using very light touch because otherwise it's going to put too much pastel on the paper. And I don't want that. I don't need this blue to be like the dominant color. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to again blend this all in like so. And you can see already it creates a smoother tone. And I really love pastels for how they can blend. That's like the amazing part of the pastels is the way they blend. Okay. And what I want to do also is kind of to unify all of my painting. I want to add colors that I will be using in different parts to the sky. For example, I want to add the color of my houses, but now we will get to it. So here, I don't like, so here now it looks as if there's two chunks of the sky on top. And what I want to do is I want to take a bit of my light color, put it over to kind of blend them better together. And then a bit of this favorite blue of mine, which I'm running out of. I need to go look for it somewhere. So, and then again, I'm going to be mixing it gently. And there we go. So now it kind of unifies the colors better, mixes them better. Okay. I like how you can create this glow, that like the effect of glow that you have from the sky, like on the background with using lighter colors. And what I want to do is I want to use a bit of my yellow. As you can, if you look at the sky good, you will see that there is a bit of that warmer glow on the horizon where you can see the sky actually kind of touching the ground, and a bit of that light terracotta. And now I'm gonna again blend this all in, and it will be almost invisible, but it will give us that interesting color there. Don't worry if you go over the mountains, like as they say in Spain, no pasa nada. And here we're going to then draw over our sky. That's why we started from the back, going towards inside. So I think I can add just a bit of that duller blue, so it's this one, to kind of add a bit of darker feeling to my sky, so it's not that sunny. Maybe something's happening, maybe there's a storm coming, so we'll do that. And it's gonna also make the color more interesting. Okay, so this is our sky, and actually, like in the picture what I see, it's a lot warmer, the color, but I don't want it to be the same as picture. I want it to be my image, so I'm happy with the sky that I got. Okay, so cleaning my hands, and let's move on to the next part. So the next part is going to be our mountains. Of course, we're moving from back towards the foreground, and for the mountains what I'm going to do is first I'm going to add my greens. This is actually too dark. I'm thinking maybe I didn't get the exact green that I wanted actually. So for the mountains, I didn't think it through, you know? So I think for the greens, we will need another color, and that's going to be something very dusty. Okay, this works good. So I'm going to start adding my mountains. And I'm also going over the trees here. And this color, again, it's very close to the color and the tone of the paper. So when you blend it out, it's going to disappear. So I'm adding this color over my mountains. And also it's slightly cooler than the color of the trees that we will be using. So it's going to move them into the background, the mountains. Okay. And on top of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my blues. So the same blue that I used for the sky. And before I give them the exact shape that I want, I will blend them out, and only then I will already work on top of my kind of underpainting, okay? So here, again, I'm blending it out. For now, I don't care about my trees. If they disappear, nothing happens, nothing bad, definitely. Okay, and here blending it out into the color of the paper. We can even blend it out a bit into the sky, but then we will create that sharper, darker line to separate the mountains. Okay. So this is just an underpainting. Again, I'm taking this kind of dustier blue and adding it to my mountains, and also some dusty green. So where I have foreground objects coming in front of my background objects, I want to create this kind of darkness behind the foreground objects, so it brings them out more. Hope that makes sense. Okay. So again, we're blending it all out. And here I can actually blend this mountain into the sky a bit, because why not? Because that's the edge of our image and we can do that. Okay, and now with my blue, I'm going to add that lighter tone to the mountains in the back. So this is the mountain that is closer than this one, so, that is further than this one. So I'm going to add a bit of blue to it to push it backwards a bit. And this one, we're going to make it just a bit darker. And blending it out into the paper. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to create that line between the two mountains to separate them. Okay, and also, as we can see, we have a very distinct line between the sky and the mountain itself. Again, blending it out. Don't do that. Don't blow on the pastels. Very bad, but I have to do it. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating that edge and I'm blending it into the mountain to kind of create as if we have like a tree line or something there. And here we're gonna blend this mountain out. Okay, and now to get it a bit, to get a bit of texture in there, I'm going to pass over with my blues. And this I'm not going to blend out. And also with some greens. we kind of give a bit more interesting texture. And as we see in the mountains there, we have a bit of lighter colors showing through. So we can add that by actually, like that's the rock showing through. And we can add that by actually pressing the pastel on its side to create that uneven texture. Okay. And here we have a line and it kind of drops down. Okay, I can also make this line here. Okay. Now what I want to do, I want to get back to clean my hands first. And then I want to get back to my skyline. And I'm going to fix the parts that I don't like. There we go. We go over this. And just blend it into our sky so that we create that sharp line in the background. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I think that our mountains are quite good. They're the background. We don't care much about them. They have to be there just to give us kind of the feeling of our houses in the foreground. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a bit of the sea already. So what I want to do is I want to start with the colors of my sky for now. And what I'm going to do is just add a bit of color to the sea water. And I'm going to add this blue as well. Okay. With my finger, using horizontal movements, I'm going to blur the marks that I made. Okay. For now, it's too light. Our sea is too light. And what I want to do is I want to make it in the center darker and lighter towards the houses and towards the sides of my image. So again, I'm adding the next color and using the pastel on the side to add a bit of more color to the sea. Here I see that there's a huge difference between the paper and the color of the paper and this blue color, so I'm going to add a bit of lighter blue just to blend it in a bit. And again, I'm going to darken it a bit with the next blue that I have. I love painting water. It's kind of relaxing. Okay. Here, a bit of that lighter blue. Okay. The thing that I don't like about my sea is that it's very like kind of bright now, oh sunny, and no, that's not what we want. We want a bit of darker color. And I'm adding it in there. This kind of grayish, cooler blue. Okay, for now I'm gonna leave my sea be because I wanted just to have some kind of tonal understanding of what's happening. And I'm going to start working on the trees on the background. So I'm going to choose my mid-tone color. So let's see, which one do we use? I think I'm going to use these two now. And I'm going to start creating the trees here. being careful not to go over the houses. So here I see them juicier. They are kind of brighter in the central part. Also above these houses, there's like a brighter green happening, and going into the forest here. And let's also sprinkle some of this green here, so just to give it a bit of unified image. Okay, and here we go in with our darker colors and add those trees in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tip of my pastel. I'm going to add the trees. Okay, so where I see the tops of my trees, let's do them taller than the mountains. I want them to be taller. It's going to make a more interesting silhouette. Okay, for now I'm just like sketching them out where I have them planned. Okay, so we have another one here, like so, then another tree over here. I'm thinking that I did the mountains too dark. Shouldn't have made them so dark, but okay, don't worry. And let's go over here. So we have trees here. Okay. And also a couple of trees. Let's make this taller than the mountains as well. And another little tree here. So now what I want to do, and also these trees, they have the tops a bit darker, and some parts of these trees are darker as well. What I want to do now is I want to blend them slightly, just so that I'm able to add more color. Actually, just even tapping them into the paper is good. So I want to add more color on top, because otherwise the pastel is going to chew up all the tooth of the paper, and this is not a professional paper, so it's not gonna accept that many layers. Okay, here we can blur them out. Okay, so now we have our trees, and we can add a bit of light in them, and then we will start already with the houses. So here I see that there are some brighter parts on these trees in front. I want to separate them from the trees in the back, like so. Also in here, let's throw in some tips of those trees that will be lighter. Okay, like so. And let's leave the rest for now. Maybe just a bit here, just to add more variety. Let's leave them for now, because what I want to do is I want to go into my houses. Yay! So that's the interesting part. Okay, so I said we will need a bit of an eraser thing happening here. So what I want to do is I want to create an edge and pick out the pastel where I want my roofs to be, just so that it doesn't mix too much with my other colors of the forest there on the background. Like so. You see how easy it is? Like, you can always lift out the pastels. So also with the mountains, in case, we can do like tap, 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 and we take away that color from the mountains. In between the trees also here. So that they stand out more. Just gentle tapping. Okay. Then the houses here are pretty good, clean. So I'm constantly kneading my eraser to have a clean edge to lift out the pastel, because the cleaner it is, the cleaner the line that I lift out is going to be. Okay, so now as I have this, and we forgot to add the trees here in front as I'm looking at it, so I'm going to add a bit of this color and the lighter green that we were using, the brighter green. And just tap it in a bit. And we're good. Okay. Cleaning my hands because now we're going to be working with light pastels. So what I want to do is I want to kind of preserve a bit my color of the paper in the houses, but I want to also give it a bit of lighter color in some places. So I'm taking my light yellow, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of variety to the color of the houses. So here I'm going over the tree line just to show that this house is actually in front of my tree. Okay, and then in case we can work with our pencils on top. And here the same, I'm going to increase the difference between these two houses, that one is in front of the other, only for the variety in the color. So this is lighter than the paper, and it gives us that interesting look. Okay, so here again, the house that is closer to us is going to have lighter color here on the edge, and then don't worry, we will also be adding shadows to them. So I'm just blending it lightly in, and here I will also give a sharper line to this house to show that this is in front of these trees that are actually happening in the back here. Okay. Like so. Now with my terracotta color, I want to add some, actually, you know what? I'm thinking maybe we add something bluish into our shadows, but this is too dark. Let's think. Now that it came to me, I'm thinking maybe we don't add something yellow. Maybe we add something blue as a shadow color. Just thinking what kind of blue, something grayish blue, right? This is way too dark. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna add just a bit of this color to make it seem as if we have a shadow here on our houses, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go over it with my terracotta color to kind of neutralize it a bit, creating the shadow between the houses here and there, like so. This side of the house is also a bit darker. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go with my terracotta color to neutralize it. You see, it's instantly becoming darker, yes, but not poison blue. Okay, like so. Okay, I think that works. Now let's add also that line of where people can actually walk, and it's going to be quite light because the sunshine is hitting it, and a bit of some lighter color here on this house just to show that it's there. And the color of the paper already is going to create the shadow part of our piers. I don't know what that is. And also adding a bit of that color here. Okay. I'm going to go over with my finger just to make it a bit not as bright, let's say. Okay, and I also want to add just a bit of a hint of a shadow to it, like even more shadow, but closer only to the center of my image, to kind of indicate that it's touching the water here and it's darker. Okay, then we will be creating also some reflections of our houses. Now, we forgot to add this part here. and these little windows here. And I want to add with my willow charcoal also these, where's my blue that I used for the shadows? Here, let's add a bit of that blue to kind of indicate that it's on the background, and again blur it out with this color, same terracotta color. Okay, so I want to add a bit of this for now here of willow charcoal, just to indicate that there are roofs that drop a shadow on our walls of the house. Cleaning my finger and blending it out slightly. Not to have too much. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to start working on my wall, ceilings, not ceilings, on my roofs, so rooftops. So working carefully not to go over the walls too much. So I'm using my lighter terracotta colors to indicate the roof. What is up with me today? Okay, that's one roof. Then we have another roof happening here, like so, another roof happening here, and now we will be mixing it together with the darker color to kind of separate the houses one from the other. The roof happening here. Okay. And don't worry too much about the details. This is a landscape sketch. We're not going for perfection here. We're drawing and relaxing. Okay, so here I see that my house is kind of bulging outwards, and I don't like that. I'm going to straighten it out a bit. Okay, now let's go into the darker colors. So here on the back, we have this house that is covered by the house in front. This house is covering the second one. Again, we're making this shadow. If it's too bright, the color that you have, you can always neutralize it with a lighter or a grayer color. Like so. And here we have, let's show a bit of darkness on this side, just to have it more interesting. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently tap my roofs to show that there's some kind of a texture happening on the roofs with one and with the other color. And let's add a bit of that shadow into our houses. Let's add a bit of that color of the roof also, just to keep our houses in tone with everything else. Okay. So here, again, we have this house in front. And it can have a darker roof. A bit of that color in the shadow, so to make shadows more colorful. And on this side as well. So we're adding this roof here. Again, we can make it stand out by adding darker colors. Okay, so what I'm thinking now is that, yeah, it looks kind of salmon. I need to neutralize it a bit. I don't like too much how it looks, so maybe I'm going to add something. This is too bright. This is, I'm looking for not such a soft pastel that can actually neutralize my color. And this is greenish, and it's going to work perfectly on the rooftops. So what I'm doing is I'm adding that color in there to make these roofs look as if they are kind of acid pink. Okay. Also, I can go over the houses a bit just to unify the colors together. Okay. And now what we can start doing is we can start working on the details. So we have our trees. Let's work on the trees now. Let's start adding some darker colors to the trees. So I have my two darks here. One is very dark and one is kind of a greener dark. So we need to separate these trees. So first I'm using my second darkest to separate one tree from the other, and this is going to create that depth also. Also here we can see that there are some dark spots in the trees happening where the shadow hits it. So this is how we can separate the trees. Okay. And also in between the branches, we can see that there are shadows. Just by tapping the pastel and moving it, we can create that interesting texture. And where we have bigger spots, we can add a bit of movements with the side of our pastel. You can see that it brings some of the trees into the foreground and the others. So here we have to be careful. Then I will be fixing it with my charcoal pencil. Not to go over the roofs. So we have these trees happening here. Just a suggestion of trees, okay? And let's add a bit of darkness where the trees are straight behind the houses to bring the houses up in front. So very important, we need to keep the silhouette of our houses intact so that it creates a more convincing image. Here again, some dark by towards the bottom of the bushes. We have some darker, for sure we will have some darker areas. Okay, and also here, like so. Now let's go in with our second dark color, and this one we will be using it even less than the previous one. So here I have my pastel that is quite sharp on the tip, and I'm using it to create those branch shadows for my trees. Again, just tapping motions. I don't know if you can see it well. I hope yes. Okay. Also here we will add just a hint of that shadow happening. One tree moving it further away from us than the other one. Okay. So now it already starts to look like trees. Okay, so here we have these two trees. like so. And here already I'm adding way less of this darker color because I want my focus to be on front objects. And now with this medium dark, let's say, in some places I'm rubbing it into the paper to create kind of a blurry effect. Not with the pen, not with the blender, not with the finger, but with the same pastel. Now clean up my hands. You can see already how much more depth it gave us. Okay, and now let's go into our juicy colors. Yay! So something bright here. So let's bring back some of the brights here on top. Over here. Also here we have those brighter colors, and we can add one or two trees that will go in front of our darker trees. Like so. Also here, just to break it up a bit. So they are closer to us and they are brighter and give us a bit more life. The same goes here. Okay. Also, let's add some light on our dark trees. They are dark, but they still have some light hitting them, especially at the tops, towards the tops. Okay, and now as we go in with our brighter, like lighter color, we will already see the difference. So here I'm adding just gentle strokes to my paper to add a bit of lighter color on these foreground trees. Okay, and I'm actually thinking that I'm going to add just a hint of an even lighter color because I want these bushes to seem juicy and the trees to seem juicier. Like here I will add a bit of dark under this tree, so to separate it a bit. This is a tree. Like so. Okay, and let's add something very kind of juicy yellow-green. Let's see. Don't get scared. This is bright, but it's gonna work. Just a touch here and there. As you can see, already it brings our trees more to life. But only towards the center. I don't want it to go on the edges. If we use it, then we need to blur it out a bit so that it doesn't take away too much attention from the central part of our image. Like so. Okay, and here I'm going to use my light yellow also on some branches of this tree. Okay, that's good. Now, what I want to do is I want to work a bit on the details of my houses, and I'm going to use my charcoal pencil to kind of add a bit of shadow and strengthen the shape a bit. Like so. Okay. And let's add also here there's a roof that we didn't add. It's kind of turning into a more graphical approach than painterly. Okay, and now I want to add my windows. And with the willow charcoal, I'm going to blend it in slightly. So they don't seem as dark. Okay. Here we have like some little details, and let's add these windows here. So there are windows on this house. And here now we're going to go into our greens again. To add that growth that we have here happening, just using the pastel on the side. Adding the greens in. Bit of that darker green to show that they are not just 2D, that there is a bit of shadow happening. Okay. And next, let's add those boats and the waves. So the boats, we said that we wanted one here and the other one closer towards here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my, actually let's use white for now to sketch it out. So I have a white pastel, this is a Conte crayon, and I'm going to add this boat here. Just a hint of a boat with this white for now. Okay, and then another boat on this spot of paper here. Okay, I'm just looking at the shape, trying to capture the overall shape of the drawing, and I need something darker. Okay, let's go with willow charcoal for now to actually give it a bit of detail. Okay, and I want a bit of red here at the bottom of our boat. Let's use the white pencil to give it more details. Yeah, this boat got out of hand here. Don't like it. Let's lift it out and do it one more time. I really don't like how it ended up. Okay, so we have the top of the boat happening here. And then the bottom of the boat is darker, so I'm using the pastel on the side better here so I can blend it into the blue. and then just add details with the pencil. Okay. Where's my yellow charcoal? There you go. Okay, looks better now. Okay, and the other boat here, let's add a bit of details at the bottom here, so darken it up where it meets the water. Make it stand out a bit. Okay, that's done. Now let's work on our sea, and I want to add a bit of little ripples on the water around. Just dragging the pastel over the paper creates that texture that I need for the little ripples on the water. It actually can go just maybe a bit darker. Let's see. Just darker blue. Okay. Here, the further from us, the more we blur it out. And now what we're missing on our sea is some lighter colors instead. And I will be using my sky blue for that to give it a bit of sparkle. So around the boat there is an area where the sea is lighter, and also towards us we can have these lighter parts of the sea happening like so, and the lighter color even lighter one, adding those ripples on the water. Bit of white somewhere. And correcting the shape of our boat. Here. The other boat here. Like so. Okay. And let's add in our umbrellas, and let's do them very bright, like so. This is a kind of acid color, and let's add also some light on our umbrellas with the same color but just lighter. Let's see, this is good. Okay, and going back to correct the shape. Okay, and let's add in the little sticks that are holding them up. And here we also have our palms. We forgot about our palms. So what I'm going to do is going to create little trees over here. just by tapping like so, and with a black pencil we will create like so. And maybe let's add just a hint of people on the streets. Okay, so the only thing that I'm not happy about is actually here. I don't like this color. I'm gonna lighten it up with my white. So it was supposed to be a wall and I made it into a roof. Okay, and let's correct the shape of the houses a bit. And to be honest, I think that our sketch could be almost ready. Let's add just a bit of white into those parts where we have the window blinds. So they're quite light. I would like to add those just as a bit of detail. Because usually all the southern country, they have these window blinds, and these ones, let's say that all the town has white window blinds. The thing is that I'm not happy with the roof. I'm gonna go with something darker for the roof, just a bit. So the thing is that you have to know when to stop, and I think I'm not stopping. Should stop. Just to add some detail on the roof and not to make it as boring. And also we can add in some windows on our roofs so we see them in the reference. Like so. So now it's more interesting already, yeah. I'm gonna blend it with the pencil, so I'm gonna add a lot of pigment, but it's going to blend it, and my finger is too large to blend such small things. Okay, and my umbrellas seem a bit shapeless. I need to fix that a bit. Okay, let's add light on our umbrellas. And I'm gonna take the softer white and add a bit of details on our boats where the light is actually hitting them over the top. Hitting them over the top, seriously, what am I saying? Okay. And the windows, I said we wanted the windows on top of our roofs or some kind of details. Maybe some antennas or some stuff happening on the roof here. And we didn't place our statue, but I think it's okay without the statue. So what I want to do is I want to blend my mountains into the sky a bit so that my trees stand out more. Okay, and just some little details closer to us, we will have these waves happening. Just blending them slightly. Okay. Okay, and I say that's it. So we leave it alone and don't touch it anymore. I think for the sketch, it's quite okay. And the only thing that we can add is a bit of maybe reflections. And let's do some white reflections of our boats. And maybe a bit of reflection down here from the houses. Just a hint. And a bit of greens. And we go over with our blue to create those wonderful sea patterns. Okay, done and done. So I think after more than a year, like way more than a year of not drawing anything, I think I'm okay about this. Not very happy about it, but it's okay. So getting back into the pastels. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you could follow with me. I hope you came out something better than me. So I would love to see that. If you want, post it on the social media, tag me, and I would love to see it. And also, don't forget, I will be putting the reference photo on Patreon, and if you want to support me there, that would be amazing. So for now, this is it. I'm finally back, yay! I hope to see you guys very soon, okay? So have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone!